There's a snake that glides through the air between trees like a living ribbon. Another spits venom into your eyes from over 8 feet away with accuracy that would impress a marksman. And one grows long enough to swallow a full-grown king cobra whole, and does exactly that. 15 snakes so dangerous, so visually extraordinary, and so completely unlike anything you'd expect that most people refuse to believe they're real. And number 1, it's the longest venomous snake on Earth, and it's smart enough to recognize individual human faces. Get ready, because this list will change the way you look at every patch of grass you ever walk through again. Position 15, blue dragon snake, the iridescent Indonesian ghost that looks like it was designed for a science fiction film. This snake doesn't look real. Seriously, deep metallic blue scales covering the entire body, shimmering between cobalt and indigo, depending on the light, set against a vivid orange and black pattern belly that appears only when the snake moves. The blue dragon snake looks less like a living reptile and more like a piece of jewelry that decided to start hunting. Found exclusively in the limestone forests of Borneo, Sumatra, and parts of peninsular Malaysia, the blue dragon snake stands around 2 feet long, weighs just a few ounces, and moves through rocky crevices and forest undergrowth with a fluid elegance that makes that extraordinary coloring even more dramatic by contrast. It feeds almost exclusively on other snakes, specifically Sicilian and small burrowing species, making it one of the most specialized feeders in the entire serpent world. Scientists believe the iridescent blue coloring may serve as a warning signal to potential predators rather than camouflage. God made this one impossible to miss and impossible to forget. In 2019, a wildlife photographer in Borneo spent 11 consecutive days searching before capturing the first high-quality images of this species in natural habitat, describing the encounter as one of the most visually stunning of his entire career. Can you imagine encountering something this blue moving through dark forest undergrowth? Have you ever seen a snake that looked this impossibly metallic? Comment below if you'd even recognize this as a snake before getting dangerously close. Position 14, flying snake, the Southeast Asian glider that launches from trees and covers over 30 feet of air without wings. A snake that flies, not slithers up a tree, not falls accidentally, deliberately launches from a branch, flattens its entire body into an S-shaped ribbon, and glides through the air covering distances of over 30 feet with accuracy precise enough to land on a specific target branch. Found across the tropical forests of South and Southeast Asia, from India through Sri Lanka to Indonesia and the Philippines. The flying snake reaches between 2 and 4 feet in length, weighs just a few ounces, and carries striking black and green or black and yellow banding that makes it visually unmistakable in the forest canopy. The mechanics of its flight are genuinely extraordinary. It sucks in its belly to create a concave surface along its entire length, transforming its cylindrical body into a flattened aerodynamic wing. It then undulates continuously during the glide, creating stabilizing lift that makes its trajectory more controlled than most engineered paper aircraft. What completely blows scientists' minds is that it glides better the longer the distance, actually increasing stability with longer flights rather than degrading. No wings, no fins, just physics and a snake that figured it out. In 2020, a study published in Nature Physics confirmed that flying snakes produce more efficient aerial movement than any other limbless, gliding animal ever studied, including flying squirrels across comparable distances. Can you believe a snake figured out aerodynamics before humans understood it scientifically? Would you dare to look up if one of these launched from a tree above you? Tag someone who will never walk under a tree in Southeast Asia the same way again. Position 13. Rainbow boa, the South American iridescent masterpiece that turns sunlight into a living prism. In direct sunlight, the rainbow boa scales produce a full-spectrum iridescence. Every color simultaneously present across a body that in shadow appears merely reddish-brown with dark circular markings. The effect is caused by microscopic ridges on each scale refracting light like tiny prisms. turning an already beautiful snake into something that looks digitally enhanced in natural sunlight. Found across the tropical forests and grasslands of Central and South America, from Costa Rica through Brazil and into northern Argentina. The rainbow boa reaches between 4 and 6 feet in length, weighs between 2 and 4 pounds, and is entirely non-venomous. Its threat is purely constrictor-based, wrapping around prey and applying pressure until respiration fails. What makes it genuinely remarkable is how that iridescence functions biologically. Researchers believe the prismatic effect may disrupt the visual tracking ability of aerial predators, making the snake's movement pattern harder to follow from above as those colors shift and scatter with every motion. God built a defense mechanism into the physics of light itself and made it breathtaking as a side effect. In 2021, a rainbow boa photographed in Brazil's Atlantic forest under direct, midday sun won the wildlife photography category at 3 separate international nature competitions. Judges describing it as the most visually extraordinary reptile image submitted in over a decade. Position 12. Woma python, the Australian desert ambush hunter that kills venomous snakes by pressing them against burrow walls. The Woma python has developed a hunting technique so specific and so extraordinary that herpetologists still debate the precise mechanics of how it works. When hunting venomous snakes inside narrow burrows, which it does regularly and deliberately, the Woma python cannot use its standard constriction technique due to space constraints. Instead, it presses the prey against the burrow wall with its own body coils, applying enough lateral pressure to prevent the prey's lungs from expanding until respiration fails. No coiling, no squeezing, just wall pressure. Found across the arid interior of Australia, primarily Western Australia, the Northern Territory, and South Australia. The Woma python reaches between 4 and 5.5 feet in length, weighs between 4 and 9 pounds, and carries a beautifully banded pattern of alternating olive, brown, and cream that provides extraordinary camouflage against desert sand and spinifex grass. What most people don't realize is that the Woma python is immune to the venom of most Australian snakes it preys upon, including several of the world's most toxic species. God gave it both the technique and the biological armor to hunt prey that would kill most other predators. Position 11. Eyelash viper, the Central American ambush artist whose camouflage is so perfect it kills people who never see it coming. Those distinctive scale projections above each eye, looking exactly like eyelashes, give this snake one of the most immediately recognizable faces in the entire viper family. And that face sits on a body available in yellow, green, pink, brown, and gray color morphs, each one matching a specific microhabitat with precision that makes the snake essentially invisible at rest. Found across the tropical forests of Central America and northern South America, from Mexico through Colombia and Venezuela. The eyelash viper reaches between 18 and 32 inches in length, weighs just a few ounces, and spends the majority of its life coiled motionlessly on flowers, fruit clusters, and low branches at exactly the height where human hands reach most naturally. Its venom is hemotoxic, destroying blood tissue and preventing clotting, delivered through fangs that strike faster than any human reflex can respond to. Most bites occur because the snake is invisible until contact has already happened. What makes it genuinely terrifying is its patience. Documented observation studies have recorded individual eyelash vipers remaining completely motionless in the same coiled position for over 3 weeks while waiting for prey to approach within striking range. 3 weeks, without moving. In 2020, a tourist in Costa Rica was bitten reaching for what appeared to be a yellow flower arrangement, the snake having coiled among actual flowers so effectively that a professional guide standing 3 feet away hadn't noticed it. Can you imagine reaching for a flower and finding this instead? Would you ever look at a tropical flower arrangement the same way again? Comment if the eyelash viper just made you permanently nervous about touching anything in a rainforest. Position 10. Banded sea kite, the ocean swimmer with venom 10 times more potent than a rattlesnake that almost never uses it. Here's the contradiction that makes the banded sea kite genuinely fascinating. It carries venom roughly 10 times more potent than a rattlesnake's, one of the most toxic venoms produced by any sea snake alive. And it almost never bites humans. Documented unprovoked attacks are so extraordinarily rare that marine researchers handling this species regularly during fieldwork treat it with caution, but not the active alarm reserved for other highly venomous species. Found across the tropical Indo-Pacific, from the coast of India through Southeast Asia to the islands of the Pacific, the banded sea kite reaches between 3 and 5 feet in length, carries that immediately recognizable alternating black and blue-white banding, and divides its life equally between ocean and land. Hunting fish underwater, then returning to shore to digest, shed skin, and reproduce. Its paddle-shaped tail provides propulsion underwater. Its valve nostrils seal completely during dives, and its lung extends nearly the full length of its body, providing oxygen reserves for dives lasting up to 30 minutes. What completely surprises most people is that despite that extraordinary venom potency, the banded sea kite's fangs are so small and its temperament so genuinely non-aggressive that bites almost exclusively occur when the snake is physically trapped or deliberately handled. God gave this one extraordinary weapons and the temperament to almost never use them. Can you imagine a snake with venom this potent being this unlikely to actually hurt you? Have you ever snorkeled somewhere this species lives without knowing it was there? Keep watching, because the truly dangerous ones are still to come. Position 9. Boomslang, the African tree snake whose venom was considered harmless for decades, until it killed one of the world's most famous herpetologists. For most of the early 20th century, the boomslang was considered relatively harmless to humans. Its rear-fanged venom delivery system, requiring the snake to chew rather than strike to inject, was thought to make envenomation in practice unlikely and serious envenomation essentially impossible. Then in 1957, Carl Schmidt, one of the most celebrated herpetologists in American history, curator of zoology at the Field Museum in Chicago, was bitten by a juvenile boomslang he was examining without precautions. He documented his own symptoms in his field journal throughout the following day, still believing the bite was not seriously dangerous. He died the next morning from disseminated intravascular coagulation, his blood losing its ability to clot entirely. Found across sub-Saharan Africa, the boomslang reaches between 3 and 6 feet in length, carries vivid green coloring in males with brick red and yellow in females, and has the largest eyes relative to head size of any African snake, providing extraordinary binocular vision for hunting chameleons and other tree-dwelling prey. Its venom is hemotoxic at a potency that took one death and decades of subsequent research to fully document. Can you imagine a snake killing one of the world's leading snake experts? Someone who had handled thousands of venomous snakes safely for decades? Isn't it something that God built one of Africa's most beautiful tree snakes around one of its most quietly devastating venoms? Tag someone who thinks rear-fanged snakes are automatically less dangerous. Position 8. Green tree python, the emerald ambush master whose coiling posture inspired 100 years of wildlife photography. That image of a brilliantly green snake draped in perfect symmetrical loops over a horizontal branch, head resting precisely in the center of the coils, eyes scanning downward, has appeared on more wildlife magazine covers, documentary posters, and nature photography collections than almost any other reptile image alive. That a green tree python, and the posture is functional, not decorative. Found across New Guinea, the Cape York Peninsula of Australia, and the islands of eastern Indonesia, the green tree python reaches between 4 and 6 feet in length, weighs between 2 and 4 pounds, and changes color dramatically during development, hatching bright yellow or red before transitioning to that vivid adult green over the first year of life. That draped coiling posture keeps the snake's center of gravity perfectly balanced on the branch while positioning its head directly above the forest floor, from which it strikes downward at passing prey with heat-sensing pit organs that allow targeting in complete darkness. a living ambush platform, engineered by millions of years of arboreal evolution. In 2022, a wildlife photographer in Papua New Guinea documented a green tree python striking and securing a bird mid-flight from its branch perch. The entire sequence captured at high speed over less than half a second. The footage was described by ornithologists as one of the most extraordinary predation events ever captured in the New Guinea rainforest. Position 7. Coral snake. The American beauty whose venom shuts down the nervous system so quietly that symptoms don't appear for hours. Red touches yellow, kill a fellow. Red touches black, friend of Jack. That rhyme has been taught to American children for generations. A mnemonic device for distinguishing the coral snake from its harmless mimics. And the fact that such a rhyme exists, that people needed a memory tool specifically to avoid this snake, tells you everything about how seriously its venom should be taken. Found across the southeastern United States, Central America, and South America, the eastern coral snake reaches between 18 and 30 inches in length, weighs just a few ounces, and carries those vivid alternating bands of red, yellow, and black that make it one of the most visually distinctive snakes in North America. Its venom is neurotoxic, blocking nerve signals to muscles throughout the body, delivered through small fixed fangs that require a chewing motion to inject. The terrifying characteristic of coral snake envenomation is its delayed onset. Serious symptoms may not appear for 6 to 12 hours after the bite, a window during which victims have historically dismissed the bite as minor before collapsing. In 2019, the sole manufacturer of coral snake antivenom in the United States discontinued production, leaving American emergency rooms managing confirmed envenomations with a dwindling strategic reserve and no replacement in immediate development. Can you believe a snake this dangerous has no currently produced anti-venom in the country where it lives? Would you recognize the difference between a coral snake and its harmless mimics under pressure? Share this with anyone who spends time outdoors in the American Southeast. Position 6. Mozambique spitting cobra, the African marksman that targets your eyes from 8 feet away with accuracy exceeding 80%. The Mozambique spitting cobra doesn't need to bite you to blind you. It aims for the eyes, from distances of up to 8 feet, with documented accuracy rates exceeding 80% on moving targets in field research conditions. It spits not in a stream, but in a precise fan pattern specifically calculated to maximize eye contact probability. A ballistic adaptation so refined it took high-speed camera research to fully document. Found across Eastern and Central Africa, from Tanzania and Mozambique through Zimbabwe to South Africa. The Mozambique spitting cobra reaches between 3 and 5 feet in length, weighs between 1 and 3 pounds, and carries olive brown to gray coloring with a distinctive dark throat band visible when the neck is spread in a defensive hood. Venom contact with eye tissue causes immediate excruciating pain, corneal damage, and without rapid irrigation, permanent blindness. The venom is simultaneously cytotoxic, meaning a bite, if it occurs after the initial spitting defense fails, begins destroying tissue at the wound site immediately. What most people don't know is that the spitting mechanism involves muscular contractions around the venom glands forcing liquid through specifically angled fang tip openings, a biological precision engineering solution that took millions of years to develop. God built an 8-foot range biological weapon into a snake the size of a broomstick and gave it the accuracy of a trained marksman. Can you imagine a snake targeting your eyes from across a room? Have you ever considered that some snakes don't need to get close to hurt you? Comment if the Mozambique spitting cobra just permanently changed how you think about safe distances from snakes. Position 5. Gaboon viper. The African forest floor phantom with the longest fangs of any snake on Earth and venom that destroys tissue for days. 2 inches. That's the length of the Gaboon viper's fangs, the longest of any venomous snake alive. 2 inches of hollow fang, folded back against the roof of the mouth when not in use, swinging forward to a full 90-degree striking position in under 1 millisecond. Found across the rainforests and woodlands of sub-Saharan Africa, the Gaboon viper is the heaviest viper in Africa and one of the heaviest venomous snakes on Earth, reaching up to 6 feet in length and weighing over 45 pounds in large females. Its body pattern, interlocking geometric shapes of brown, tan, cream, and purple, provides camouflage so perfect against leaf litter that experienced field researchers have stepped directly onto specimens without seeing them. Its venom yield per bite is the largest of any venomous snake, up to 9.7 milliliters in a single strike. The cytotoxic and hemotoxic combination begins destroying tissue at the bite site within minutes, spreading damage over days without anti-venom intervention. And yet it is one of the most docile large vipers alive, documented in field studies as extremely reluctant to strike even when repeatedly disturbed. Most bites occur because someone steps directly on a snake they genuinely could not see. In 2020, a herpetologist in Uganda was bitten during routine Forest Survey work and documented his treatment over 17 days. The published account becoming required reading in tropical medicine programs worldwide. Can you believe the snake with the longest fangs on Earth is also one of the least aggressive? Isn't it something that the most dangerous ambush predator survives primarily by being invisible? Position 4. Saw-scaled viper. The desert assassin responsible for more human deaths than any other snake species on Earth. Forget the king cobra's fame. Forget the black mamba's speed. When it comes to documented human fatalities, no snake on Earth comes close to the saw-scaled viper. Found across a belt of habitat stretching from West Africa through the Middle East to the Indian subcontinent and Sri Lanka, this snake reaches just 12 to 30 inches in length, small enough to hide under a single dried leaf, and occupies densely populated agricultural regions where barefoot farming communities work in direct contact with its habitat every single day. Its name comes from the sound it makes when threatened, rubbing its keeled scales together in a rasping warning that herpetologists describe as one of the most chilling sounds in the natural world. A sound most bite victims never hear before contact. The venom is powerfully hemotoxic, causing massive internal bleeding, kidney failure, and tissue destruction over hours to days. Anti-venom is expensive, frequently unavailable in rural areas, and must be administered quickly to prevent permanent organ damage. The World Health Organization estimates the saw-scale viper is responsible for more snakebite deaths annually than any other species, with some regional studies from India suggesting tens of thousands of fatalities per year from this single species alone. God packed the world's deadliest snakebite record into something shorter than a standard school ruler. Position 3. Russell's viper. The Indian subcontinent killer that strikes without warning and has made snakebite one of the world's most neglected medical crises. In 2018, a study published in the journal eLife estimated that Russell's viper alone kills between 20,000 and 40,000 people in India every single year. Every year, in one country, from one species. Those numbers, confirmed through India's largest snakebite mortality study ever conducted, shocked the global medical community and prompted the World Health Organization to reclassify snakebite as a neglected tropical disease requiring immediate international attention. Found across the Indian subcontinent, from Pakistan through India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Russell's viper reaches between 3 and 5 feet in length, weighs between 3 and 6 pounds, and carries a distinctive chain of dark brown oval spots against a buff or brownish body that provides effective camouflage in dry grasslands and agricultural fields. Its venom is one of the most complex of any snake on Earth, simultaneously hemotoxic, cytotoxic, and neurotoxic, causing bleeding disorders, kidney failure, tissue destruction, and neurological damage that can develop over days following envenomation. And its temperament is notoriously unpredictable. Docile one moment and explosive the next, with documented strikes from distances exceeding its own body length. What most people don't know is that Russell's viper has adapted specifically to rice paddy agriculture, following the rats that follow the grain, placing it in direct and constant contact with the farmers who feed one of the world's most populated regions. Can you believe one snake species drives tens of thousands of deaths annually in a single country? Isn't it something that one of humanity's oldest agricultural activities puts so many people in direct contact with this animal every day? Share this, because Russell's viper deserves far more global attention than it receives. Position 2. Indian cobra, the sacred serpent of Hindu mythology whose hood has inspired 2,000 years of human reverence and fear simultaneously. Over 300 million people worship a deity, Lord Shiva, who is depicted wearing a living Indian cobra coiled around his neck. Over 1 billion people live in the same country as this snake. And every year, the Indian cobra kills between 10,000 and 15,000 of them. Sacred and deadly, revered and feared, for over 2,000 years simultaneously. Found across the Indian subcontinent, from Pakistan through India and Bangladesh to southern China and Sri Lanka. The Indian cobra reaches between 4 and 7 feet in length, weighs between 4 and 7 pounds, and carries that immediately recognizable hood spreading to reveal the distinctive spectacle marking on the dorsal surface. Two connected circles that have inspired mythology, art, and cultural symbolism across the Asian subcontinent for millennia. Its venom is primarily neurotoxic, causing progressive paralysis leading to respiratory failure, but carries cytotoxic components that cause significant tissue destruction at bite sites without antivenom treatment. Death can occur within 1 to several hours depending on envenomation volume and the victim's size and health status. What genuinely surprises most people is the Indian cobra's intelligence. Documented field studies have confirmed it learns to recognize individual human faces and modifies its defensive behavior specifically based on prior experience with specific individuals. God created a snake sacred enough to wear around a god's neck and dangerous enough to require that same god's protection. Can you believe a snake has been simultaneously worshipped and deadly to the same civilization for 2,000 years? Comment if the Indian cobra is the most culturally significant snake on this entire list. Position 1. King cobra, the longest venomous snake on Earth that is smart enough to recognize your face and remember it. 18 feet. That's the length of the longest king cobra ever officially recorded. Discovered in Malaysia in 1937 and kept temporarily at London Zoo, where it grew to 18 feet 2 inches before being released back into the wild at the outbreak of World War II. 18 feet of venomous snake. Smart enough to recognize the individual keeper who fed it. Calm with that person. Aggressive with everyone else. Found across the forests of South and Southeast Asia, from India through southern China to the Philippines and Indonesia. The king cobra is the longest venomous snake on Earth. A fully grown adult reaches between 10 and 13 feet under standard conditions, weighs up to 20 pounds, and delivers a venom yield per bite large enough to kill an Asian elephant, or 20 adult humans, in a single envenomation event. Its neurotoxic venom attacks the central nervous system with speed sufficient to cause death in as little as 30 minutes in severe cases. And unlike every other snake on this list, the king cobra actively constructs and guards the nest. The only snake species on Earth confirmed to exhibit parental nest defense behavior. A female guards her eggs with the same territorial aggression a guard dog applies to its owner's property. But here's the fact that changes everything. Multiple independent research studies have confirmed that king cobras possess spatial memory, problem-solving ability, and individual recognition capacity that exceeds every other snake species ever studied. They remember specific individuals. They distinguish familiar from unfamiliar humans. They modify their behavior based on accumulated experience. God created the most intelligent snake on Earth, and then made it the most venomous large snake alive at the same time. Can you believe the longest venomous snake on Earth is also intelligent enough to recognize your face? Isn't the king cobra the most extraordinary proof that danger and intelligence can be combined in one single magnificent creature? This is hands down the most formidable snake God ever created, and there was never any other choice for number one. So guys, which of these 15 snakes made you most grateful for the distance between you and the nearest jungle? From the invisibly beautiful blue dragon snake of Borneo to the intelligent and unstoppable king cobra, every single one of these creatures is proof that God packed more complexity, beauty, and danger into the serpent family than most of us will ever fully appreciate. Whether it's the saw-scaled viper breaking every mortality record from under 30 inches of body length, the bone slong killing one of the world's greatest herpetologists, or the king cobra smart enough to remember your face, the natural world never runs out of ways to command our deepest respect. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss what we bring you next. Comment below which snake surprised you the most. Your feedback shapes everything we create here.